This is a video for replacing the oil cooler on a 2011 Chrysler 200S. I just want to show you some of the pitfalls that I got into and how I went about it, since no one really covers it for the 2011. So here is the old oil cooler, and I will show you just the basic things of, so you have to take off the upper manifold, which is this piece. You start by loosen up the air a little bit, and then just that right there, and then you're gonna do, once that's done, you want to undo this hose here. Just crimp that together with some vice grips, slide it off, pull that off. There's a nut here you can see, and there's another one, where is it? Right there. So you've got to take those all the way off. You want to, there's this kind of rubber little grommet here, and you can see I broke mine a little bit. See that crack? Because I hit it real hard right there, to break it loose a little bit, and then it's going to come off. This seal is kind of on there just barely. It's almost like there needs to be something holding that tight, but it seems to be fine. So anyway, you shove that out of the way and you push it there, because otherwise that'll hold the intake in. Anyway, and then there's, oh yeah, you have to undo these two, just like these back two nuts back there. You got to take these off. These ones are a little bit tricky because these brackets, this got me the first time. Those brackets are both held in by like a 13 or 14 millimeter nut. You can see that one right down there. And then get those loose on both sides. This one's a little bit trickier because there's a nut over it that holds this metal bar in place. And once you get that one off or loosen it up, then you can get into the other one, which I don't even know if you can see it. It's in there. But once you get those, all you have to do is get these loose, because they just kind of hold everything in place. Because the biggest thing is to get these screws that are on it. And I believe, let's see the order. I'll list the guy that has a video of the order for the 2012 because it's the same. But once you get that off, the upper one, then you can get the lower one off. There's a few clips and things, but again, I'll link a video that has a little bit about that. You got to get all 6 clips off. Make sure to use paper towels or some kind of cloth to cover the intake, the lines to the engine, so that, because you don't want to, if a little dust gets in there, no big deal, but if you drop like a bolt or a nut or something, you're going to pay for that. So that's that. And then once you have it all the way down, you can get the oil cooler off. There's 5 hex screws for that one. Oh yeah, you can see on this cooler there's 5 hex, and let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 is the order for those. Anyway, the new sensor, I got like a cheapo kind of, it was something made in China for oil cooler replacement, and it was like $100. That one works pretty good. The sensor, for whatever reason, I couldn't clip the plug all the way over this sensor. This is the one that came with the new cooler. So I took the old sensor off and put it in, and I'm getting a code for it, but I think it's because this one didn't connect all the way. The seals on this one were pretty bad, the original one. And if you cover the 3 holes for this tube here and blow on it, you can hear that this one's got a leak somewhere in the housing. So that's why that one had to go. I was losing water, some coolant, and so it was the actual oil cooler assembly itself. And these gaskets are pretty blown out too. These are the old ones. You can see, oh geez, there's hair all over the place. These are pretty flat, as you can see. They're still I mean, they feel a little plasticky. They're not as rubbery, but you know, they may have held up, but they were going to be on their way out soon. The new gaskets were nice and kind of a diamond shape, And I also used some of this. I added this around, actually, excuse me, I didn't do any on the oil cooler, but for the air, there's 6 gaskets for the upper and 6 for the lower. And I used some of this, it's like a silicone for a high temperature because it gets really hot in there. I put some of this on both fingers and just kind of went around everything a couple times. That'll make an extra seal. That's something my dad recommended. It might be a little over the top, but anyway, the first time I put it on, I did not have these tight enough because the new gaskets were so tall. You gotta go around and make sure that everything's torqued to 9 foot-pounds. You gotta do it and do it again, do it again, do it again, and make sure that it's all the way tight, because otherwise you're gonna run into the problem I did, which is water. It's gonna have just enough room, and once the car's on, the pressure is gonna push this up a little bit, and then you're gonna get water mixing with your oil, and it's gonna be a nightmare. This whole floor got a polish because of all that, but it's taken care of. Everything seems to be working now. Last note, yeah, you don't have to use Torx on this. Highly recommend it, and get a torque wrench. But I was able to get away with using a millimeter socket, and then when the millimeter socket, the socket itself kind of wore out, I switched to some kind of SAE socket, but you just guess and check, and that eventually worked. So mine's done. Just again, and you can't get too tight with your screws either. Again, I didn't have a torque wrench. I bought one since, but like you can see, this is cracked a little bit right here. I'm not too worried about it because where the gaskets are is in a little bit more, but just some stuff to watch out for. Leave comments if you have any questions, and we'll go from there.